Welcome everybody to this taster session in strategic marketing at Maynooth University. So today I am going to do this taster session in two parts. First, I will do a quick overview about the program, and after that I will move into presenting a short session as if I was teaching in a class of marketing analytics, which I teach in this program myself. So my name is Ali Reza Keshavaz. You can see my email on the screen. If you would like to book a one-on-one meeting, you can contact me via email and I would be happy to give you a slot to talk on a one-on-one session and try to answer your questions and all your concerns. So I would like to greet everybody, every prospect students that we have. I thought I should personally welcome those who have already decided to join us and encourage others who are still waiting to confirm their attendance. So I'm excited to let you know that we are having an extraordinary applications season because of the huge interest in this program. Also, I wanted to emphasize that despite the problems that everyone is facing due to the pandemic that we have, we are working hard, and I should say harder than ever, to prepare the best experience for you prospective students. So now, as you have you know, 1 year has passed since the pandemic, and we have been very successful, in fact, to continue with our postgrad and, as a matter of fact, also undergrad programs. And strategic marketing has been one of our success stories during the pandemic. The first thing I want to emphasize is the aims and objectives of this program. As you can see on the slides, marketing is essentially a key function in any organization, be it a private or a public sector, and there is a need, therefore, to develop graduates who can understand the complexities of marketing function within an overall business environment, within corporations, within SMEs, and so on. This MSc takes a particular focus and concentrates on how individuals can best understand their customer base and how they can best communicate this with the base. This is an essential function for organizations, as without customers, there is arguably no organizations at all. So we are there to serve customers, and marketing is the tool to do it. A key aim of the program is to offer multidisciplinary perspectives and approach to understanding a contextualized marketing. So the material and case studies covered within the modules take a broad cross-sectional and international approach, as management concepts and frameworks are presented in multiple modules to show the boundaries that marketing can cover. Some cases will be based in Irish context, while others would be more transnational and international focus, exploring themes and issues that transcend national boundaries and cultures, which is an imperative in this today's business environment. Now, if you look at these 8 essentially job skills to succeed in post-pandemic work, this is a report by Forbes magazine. It lists 8 of the main skills that would be important for future job seekers, very near future, hopefully once we are done with the pandemic. The first one is adaptability and flexibility, and which I will show in when I talk about the module content, how we can address some of these. Now, obviously, this is a marketing focus course, and it won't be covering all the aspects, but a lot of the aspects will be covered. So tech savviness, to some extent, we will look into creativity and innovation, is another aspect that is very much the focus of this program. Data literacy, to some extent, we will cover that in courses like marketing analytics and marketing live. Critical thinking, which is the core and the foundation of all the modules essentially that deal with real and live cases, business cases. Digital and coding skills. So in the digital marketing module, we will look into those aspects. Leadership, which would be actually the backbone of a couple of modules that we have. Emotional intelligence, which hopefully you can develop through the group work and all the interaction activities that we have included in our modules. And finally, commitment to a lifetime of learning, which I suppose all of you are trying to achieve through taking your education to the next step. Now, just wanted to address a couple of frequently asked questions that I receive from a lot of you as applicants. The first one is about the content of the modules that are offered. So the MSc strategic marketing is designed to bridge the gap between marketing / commercial side and the strategic functions of the organization. So as such, the course in general focuses on the applications of marketing tools and techniques to the business environment and give the strategic tools and understanding for decision makers to make a market-informed decision. So I'll quickly go through some of these modules. Essentially, these are all the modules that will cover the 90 credits that we have within this course. The first one, and if you see the ones that are 10 ECTS essentially require double the effort, total workload, and the ones that are 5 ECTS have less workload, but it has actually equal commitment from the lecturers and the professors who are teaching these modules. So the 10 ECTS have 300 hours workload, and the 5 ECTS modules have 150 hours workload. But overall, the classroom will be 32 hours, which is divided into 4 8-hours. So there will be per module 4 8-hour block sessions, and those usually happen on Thursdays and Fridays, which gives the flexibility to our students to hopefully get their schedule in a way that they can focus the rest of the week on their self-learning, which is pretty much 1/3 of the study hours, of the workload hours, or maybe if there are some who want to take on part-time jobs, they could essentially do that by this flexibility that is given to students. So in general, each semester you will have 4 modules. Each module will have 4 full days. That adds up to 16 full days of classes, which happens over Thursdays and Fridays. And that goes on to the second semester. And the third semester is essentially doing a project that will finalize your studies, which is BRP, dissertation, or placement, one of these 3 options. So I will quickly talk about these modules. The first one is the digital marketplace. So the key focus of this module is to understand the changing digital landscape and its effects on organizations. So organizations in different sectors have different business models, and this module aims to provide a deeper level of understanding of how the move to digital is changing traditional models of doing business. creating new ways to engage with customers through digital transformation. Applications are in the business to consumer, business to business, consumer to consumer, and government to consumer realms. So it covers all the aspects of marketing in a digital world. Then you have consumer behavior and sustainability. Essentially, marketeers need to have a thorough understanding of consumers' needs and preferences. Consumption is also one of the defining aspects of modern societies and deeply implicated in a question of environmental and social responsibility. So this module provides an introduction to key concerns in consumption and consumer behavior, both from the marketing and from social perspective. Students will learn about the behavioral underpinning of subject and how they relate to wider sustainability issues within the society. Then we have the strategic management, which focuses on the tools and concepts in strategic management. This module provides students with a range of strategic management concepts and tools that from which an advanced insight into the process of strategy formulation comes out. The module essentially explores the concept of strategy and why it is central aspect of the process of value creation and value capture within a marketing context. Then we have the career development and planning, which is a more generic program, and all of our MSc students in different programs take this. This module is designed to enhance students' employability. So we help you to develop and create a career plan for the upcoming years through the career development planning and development module. The module also covers human resource management practices relating to career development, including employer branding, recruitment, talent management, total reward, and negotiation. So it covers both the perspective of employer, which hopefully you will work for some employer one day, and then employee, as in you would prepare for the market for the labor market for yourself. Then we have the marketing analytics. Actually, this is a module that I teach myself. Next year it will be in the first semester. In fact, marketing is becoming less of an art and more of a science. So nowadays we talk about marketing science more and more. Many organizations have extensive information about consumer choices and their social media activities and how they react to marketing campaigns, but relatively few have the expertise to really intelligently act on such information. So this module is a way for students to learn the scientific approach to marketing with hands-on use of technologies and collect, analyze, and act on consumer information. This is a key part of the learning, how to take advantage of data and hopefully big data towards the end of the module. While students will employ quantitative methods in this course, the goal is not to produce experts in statistics whatsoever. So we will have an applied approach to methods and tools that can help you to develop the skills to be a data-driven marketeer. Then we have international sales management, which again, I will be hopefully teaching that. So in fact, without sales, there is no income. And without that, there is no future for the organization. This module focuses on the relatively neglected part of the business and enables you to develop a strong, robust sales process, bearing in mind in a small open economy like Ireland, which much of these sales will be internationally focused. So we'll have domestic as well as international perspective to give the opportunity to the participants in the module to understand how they can interact with international clients in a sales environment. And we have also the Marketing Live module, which actually is a very interesting concept that is developed in our business school. In effect, companies must pay attention to trends such as intensifying competition, increasing globalization, and technological developments. Now, while these developments threaten existing business models, they provide at the same time many opportunities for development of new businesses and sustainable growth. So this module is a consultancy-based module. Students will develop their consultancy skills and apply their knowledge of concepts, frameworks, and research methods obtained throughout the program to rest of the modules to develop an alternative strategic marketing recommendation for a specific business problem. So there will be a specific consultancy client for each group, and in groups, students will work on actual business problems. Students will evaluate the benefits and drawbacks of their recommendation and develop suggestions for implementation as if they were working for a consultancy firm. So, finally, we have the actionable insights through research. The purpose of this module is to take advantage of understanding of how research feeds into decision-making process in organizations. So to prepare you to evaluate and generate evidence through insights that you collect from customers, from business environments, from competitors, and so on, to be able to formulate questions, find data to answer the question, to analyze the data, be it quantitative and qualitative, and deduce insights and convert it to decision-making alternatives for broader decision makers within the organization. So these are the main 8 modules, and to cap that, there will be 3 options for students to finalize during the summer semester, which is the 3rd semester, through a business research project or a dissertation or placement. Now, most of our students will do a business research project that will be presented to them. A real life project will be presented to them, and they are going to work for an actual company, a real company, and a real problem with the mentoring of a faculty member. So there will be 2 people, the mentor, which is a faculty member, and a company partner who would be the project owner, and you will develop and work together with the mentor and the project owner to solve a real business problem. The second one is a dissertation. This is mostly for people who want to follow a research career, hopefully in the future, or go for work for research organizations, which will be similar to BRP, but it will be more academic and more theoretically focused. And finally, you have the placement, which usually our this work placement experience and the accompanying module. So it comes with a module, offers the participant students the opportunity to integrate their academic study with coordinated relevant jobs. So there will be internships, jobs that students will seek out, and usually a fraction, 20%, 15, 20% of our students end up doing placement. Placement seeks to bring the concepts, tools, and competencies developed in semesters 1 and 2 of the program into the realities of work placement implementation. So that was about the content. The second thing is the second question I usually get very often is about the prospects. What type of jobs do we get? What type of jobs can we apply, right? So now this is a very fresh search that I did this morning on LinkedIn about the jobs that individuals graduating from this program potentially can get. So some of the job titles that I could find was marketing analyst, graduate business analyst, marketing specialist, inside sales specialist, business development representative, product owner, digital optimization leads, Shopify developer, marketing web specialist, and so on. So you see the wide variety of the job titles that individuals could work. Now, generally, these fall within three broader categories. The first one is the more analytics jobs, which is for students who are more analytically skilled. Might not be everyone, but some of our students might be more quantitatively oriented. So marketing analyst or graduate business analyst, those type of jobs are appealing for those students. And then the second category would be business development and sales jobs, which a lot of generally all over the world, a lot of marketing graduates start with business development to go on to become middle managers and so on. And then finally, you have the more creative part of the job market, which ends up being nowadays mostly digital and goes toward advertising and marketing optimization lead and so on. So, and it can be in any essentially any industry. So information technology, as you can see, in pharmaceuticals, in consultancy, in IT again. So, and finally, you see one of these jobs is Qualtrics, which is a tool. Qualtrics is a tool for market research, essentially. So for any type of research. So you would potentially be able to work for a company that helps researchers to do market research. Now, I will stop here, and this was the first part about this about the taster session. I'll stop here, and I ask you to please post your questions with regards to the content that I presented, and I will be happy to answer those questions. If there aren't many questions, I will move into presenting. I will move into presenting the second part, which is as if I was teaching in a marketing analytics class. So I will give it a few more seconds to see if any questions are posted. If not, I will move into the second part, which is going to be about conjoint analysis in a marketing analytics class. So please post your questions. In any ways, you can post your questions while I'm going through the second part of the lecture, and please feel free to reach out to me and set up a one-on-one session if you'd like more detail about the content and you have more questions. Now, this is a class on conjoint analysis. So conjoint analysis is essentially a tool that people know with different names if you're coming from different domains. So people in quality management, in operations, know it as conjoint analysis. Some people coming from different domains know it as experimental design. We have also people in marketing in more recent, in digital era, talking about the same concepts as an A/B testing method. So A/B testing is an extension of conjoint analysis, and conjoint analysis is essentially probably the most used quantitative market research method. So I usually include this in my teaching because it helps students to understand much of the background as well as practicalities of market research. So the goals are to get a detailed understanding of consumers' preferences for product attributes. So whatever product that you take, they have certain attributes. You take the mobile phone, there are screen size, there's memory capacity, there is camera quality, and so on. Those are the attributes of a mobile phone. So we want to understand the preferences of customers about the attributes of a product. So, and based on those, we can go on actually to predict the market share for a given product that is composed of different attributes, essentially do some pricing, understand the price elasticity of a certain product attributes, design an optimal product and service. So, and I will present you, this is not going to be only with regards to products. It could be services, it could be more or less any side of activity that you want to understand customers' preferences with regards to that. So you see a lot of these brands here. I will give you a few examples, and this is very partial list. So it's applied everywhere, this method. So for example, when AT&T wanted to adapt cell phones from different brands, they applied conjoint analysis to understand which of the brands they can offer with their products, with their mobile plans, which essentially Vodafone or Tree or Air do constantly day to day. Ford is another company which used conjoint analysis to redesign Ford cars to reflect general automotive concepts. This has been used extensively by Mazda, by Volvo, a lot of other companies. IBM, so they use conjoint analysis to measure potential buyers' reaction to variation in performance and reliability of features of their workstations. Interestingly, US Navy, UK Navy essentially use conjoint analysis to develop a menu of new relisting plans. So when they wanted to get people to relist what aspects they would be looking for, such as the type of duties that individuals would get, health needs, the bonuses that would be more attractive, and so on, to help to increase the attractiveness of enlisting. FedEx, for example, they studied the trade-off of consumer reaction to new methods of tracking delays and lost letters of packages. So that is another area that was applied. MasterCard, they looked at new travel and entertainment futures evaluated for each case. So the offers that you get on your credit card, all of those are studied through a conjoint analysis to understand which ones are more attractive to customers. Hotels like Marriott, like Ritz-Carlton, any interior design and exterior design services, the top-up services, the prices, they are studied through conjoint analysis to understand the attractiveness to customers, and many other companies. The other example is the ad banners that you see day to day in any website that you go, especially some of the news websites, like if you go to Irish Times, you see these ad banners. All the aspects of these ad banners, including the type of picture that is shown, the logos, and as you can see, this is a co-branding between Budget Car Rental and Aer Lingus, how the co-branding should be presented, the call to action, the colors that are used within these ads, and how generally in a web page should this ad banner presented. On the top hand right, top right hand side, top left hand side, at the bottom, in the middle. All these aspects are studied through A/B testing, which is essentially an extension to conjoint analysis. And finally, one of the interesting example is the litigation case between Apple and Samsung. As some of you might remember, this has been a long story still going on in the background between Apple and Samsung trying to sue each other. And in this essentially example comes from a few years ago when Apple sued Samsung because they were producing phones that were infringing on some of the features that Apple had in their portfolio, namely mostly the type of design, right? If they had rectangular or curved corners and so on, which essentially ended up being, so the jury awarded in that one case 539 million to Apple that Samsung had to pay. Well, the interesting question is that how you come up with a figure like 539 million, right? It's not a random figure. That conjoint analysis helps companies or litigators to understand what would be the value of that infringement had the company not infringed the patent of a second company. And this is done mostly through conjoint analysis. Now, what we do, I am going to through a simple example. There will be steps. I won't be presenting the details, but in an actual class, I go through the data. So step by step, I explain what does it mean. But the processes are essentially 6 steps to get to final insights. I am going to present it to a very simple example of a snack box that you would possibly get on an airplane to buy for $4, $5, $6, right? Or 4, 5, 6 euros, which would include different ingredients within that snack box. And I wanted to show you how we can evaluate that, which snack box is more or less attractive for customers. So each product is a combination of attributes and levels. So one product defined as a combination of attribute and level could be the snack box. So their attribute would be if there is a drink, if there is a mini candy in it, is a spread like honey, and if there is a mini treat like crisps or for that matter pretzels. Those become the attributes: drinks, mini candies, spreads, and so on. And these attributes can vary, each one of them. So for the drink, you can have, for example, Coke. You give the option of Coke, give the option of apple juice, and so on. For mini candy, you can give the option of M&Ms and Toblerone. So those are defined by customers' segments, general preferences, and the productivity and essentially the operations behind it. The other example again could be a tablet, right? So a tablet with one of the attributes could be the brand of a tablet, an Apple, a Samsung, an Asus, whatever brand that you can think. The second attribute could be the storage, could be the screen resolution, and the levels, of course, for brand, I mentioned you can have Surface, Google, Apple, Samsung, and so on. And for the level of storage, you could have 32, 64, 128, and so on. So these combinations generates products. And once you take one level of each attribute and put together, you will come up with a product. Then we judge the customer's preferences and measure their customers' preferences based on those products, which can be done through rating, ask customers to rate certain products, or which can be done through ranking, ask customers to rank among certain products, and we can be done choices. So if you give customers a few choices and tell them which one do you prefer. And then we want to understand what is the preference or the utility of each one of these product profiles. So a Surface tablet with 32 gigabytes of RAM and screen resolution of 1080p. The preference or utility of that given product is the addition of the preference that each individual have for each level of each attribute. So how much do I prefer more of the 64 gigabytes versus 32 gigabytes? That adds up. And the second step, do I prefer Apple versus Surface? How much more I prefer. So each one of these will add up to generate the utility of a given product. Now, there's generally 6 steps. First, we need to identify the attributes. So what features a product or service have. Then we identify the levels for each attribute, how much we want to have a variation, 32, 64, 128 gigabytes and so on, then create the product profile. So we combine all these attributes with different levels to create a product profile and then collect the data of customers' preferences, which means that we collect the data from people who essentially tell us how much they prefer one product versus the other. Then we analyze and estimate the part worth or the worth of each attribute. That is what we mean by part worth, and then predict market share and etc. and make gain insights. So in our example, you have in a snack box 5 different attributes, and each we have chosen to give different levels to each attribute, right? So you have Coke, Diet Coke, apple juice for the attribute of drink. For mini candy, we have 2 levels. For spread, we have 3 levels. And salty snack, we have 2 levels. And price, we have 4, 5, 6. So to generate a product, we choose 1 level of each attribute. So if we choose Diet Coke here, mini Toblerone here, honey here, pretzel here, and €5, we have essentially generated a snack box. Now, next time you choose Coke, M&Ms, peanut butter, crisps, €5, that is a new product profile. So from each attribute, we choose 1 level and that generates a product profile. So for these 5 attributes, we essentially can generate 108 product profiles because every combination of each attribute will give you a product profile, which end up being 108. Now, the problem is that we can't give 108 options to customers to evaluate. It's cognitively impossible. It is. Imagine if I gave you a name of 108 different mobiles for you to evaluate, to give a score of between 1 to 7, or the features of 108 mobiles to give a score of 1 to 7 for each one of them. It's cognitively impossible. It makes respondents tired. So we have a theory of experimental design, which essentially one part of is its orthogonal design, which helps us to reduce the number of product profiles that we want to collect data from customers to show to customers, while we won't lose much information. We will still be able to evaluate every 108 without asking customers to evaluate those 108. This orthogonal design, which is a method, will tell us actually we only need to ask customers to evaluate 15 products instead of 108. And that depends on the levels and attributes. So if you have less levels and less attributes, so we have 5 attributes, we had 4 or 3, you would essentially have less product profiles to be evaluated by individuals. So these are links that you can look up and get an understanding of how many product profiles you need to give to customers to evaluate. I have an Excel file which I provide to you, which gives you the opportunity to evaluate product profile up to 6 attributes, and each one 3 levels to tell you how many product profile with what combination you need to have customers evaluate. Then we need to collect data based on those product profiles. So you see here we said 15 product profiles need to be evaluated. Through the orthogonal design process, we will know that these are the product profiles that we need to ask customers to evaluate. So each line is one product profile. So the first product is Coke, M&M, honey, chips, and $5. So that combination makes a snack box, one product profile. And you ask customers to evaluate between 1 to 7, their preferences. That is a rating method. And the second one, third one, and so on, up to the 15th one. So instead of 108 combinations, now we have 15 combinations of all these attributes, and we ask customers to evaluate them, and we collect that. So every customer has to evaluate every 15 of them. Then we go on to analyze that. How do we analyze? We want to see how each of these, each level of each attribute drives the preference of customers, right? So essentially, the preference of customers is dependent of the characteristics of the product, right? So dependent variable, something that depends, is the preference or the rating of customers. So the collected responses. So the collected responses depends on the attributes of the products. Now the other way to say it is that the attributes of the products derive the responses or the preference of customers. So the attributes become our X's, which derive our Y, which is essentially the responses of customers. So X's are the attributes and levels of the product, which derives the preference of customers, which shows the preference of, changes the preference of customers, which becomes the Y's. All right. So, and in actual terms, I will show you in an Excel file how we do that. And we run a statistical analysis, very simple regression analysis, to give us an understanding of how much each level of each product profile is essentially preferred, right? Through that, we can generate the importance of attribute. So one step is to see which attribute is more important than the others. Like if you are buying a mobile phone, you might pay more attention to the screen size, or you might pay attention more to the quality of camera versus the design, right? So you have different, you assign different importances to different product levels and attributes. So we want to understand which attribute is more important. And then through that, we can generate an ideal profile, right? So we know which level of each attribute is more important. So we can understand also the levels, which one is more important for a given customer, which we can generate the ideal profile, which can be feedback to the product design, to R&D, or even the marketing campaigns, because you want to emphasize the characteristics that customers care about more. So if your customers care about the camera quality, right, which actually what these days Galaxy S21 is emphasizing, the camera quality, that is there is a marketing research and conjoint analysis done behind that to understand that people care about the camera quality versus other aspects. And now Samsung is emphasizing that and actually emboldening in their communication, in their advertising, as well as they have gone to design it before the communication. And then we can predict the choices. So we can, if we have a set of 10 students and give them 2 options of mobile phones, a Samsung S21 and an Apple iPhone 12, we can if we did a conjoint analysis in this context, we could know that how many of those 10 people will choose one or the other. And then based on that, we can actually generate a trade-off analysis. So which one of the features in a Samsung are more important versus which one of the features in an iPhone. So which of the attributes people are willing to forego in an iPhone to get a Samsung, or vice versa. So trade-off analysis we can do, and we can essentially look into general market share, assuming that if those 10 students or 50 students that we did a conjoint analysis survey with are a representative of all the students, let's say in Ireland, we would know that what would be the market share of Samsung S21 in student population in Ireland versus iPhone 12 versus Huawei, whatever phone that is. So we would know the market share. And on top of that, with a little bit more advanced analysis, we would be able to price our product correctly versus other competitors. So if we change the, now you would possibly wonder if I'm picking up a Samsung S21 versus Samsung S21 Plus versus Samsung S21 Ultra, how do they price this so differently? Why one of them is 800, the other one is 950, and the other one is 1300 euros? We can do a pricing analysis and see how much is the capacity that customers are willing to pay for each attributes that we are adding or each changes that we are making to products. So that is more or less it about the conjoint analysis lecture, the introduction. In the future lectures, I will go into the data analysis and actually implement what I mentioned. But I wanted to show you the power of conjoint analysis and marketing research and what essentially insights we can generate through a relatively simple but very powerful tool of conjoint analysis. Thank you very much, and I am ready to answer your questions. Please post further questions if you would like to. Now, so there is a question that asks, do the course cover any digital marketing analytics tools? Now, yes, we don't have a dedicated digital marketing analytics module, but we have a digital marketing module, which will be actually, which is constantly updated. So digital marketing module, and we have a marketing analytics module that a combination of those will cover most aspects when it comes to digital marketing analytics. I hope that answers the question. If you want to discuss that, you are very welcome to send an email to me. Let me go to the first slide. So you have my email, and you can contact me. So this is my email, alireza.keshavaz@mu.ie. It's also available on the website. So if you go to our website or the place that you signed up for this taster session, you can find my email, and you're welcome to contact me. Any other question, I'm happy to answer. We will wait a few more minutes for the questions. If there isn't, after that, we will end the session, and hopefully you could get an understanding of the taster session here, how the course is structured and what you will learn, and hopefully you can sign up. As I said, we are having a pretty successful student recruitment season. There is a lot of interest in this, and I encourage you to accept your offers if you have an offer, or if you're considering to apply as soon as possible, so we have enough seats for you. Now, an additional thing is that if you need more information, of course, you can always go to our website. If you just Google MSc Marketing, Strategic Marketing, Maynooth University, the first and second hit will be our program, and we have a detailed explanation of the structure of the program, course content, and further information that we have, the application process for internationals, for EU and Irish students. Generally, our own students, we have access to their profiles, so there will be less documents to be submitted, but for international and students coming from other universities, we need to have your transcripts in your application. So there is another question: what is the class size roughly each year? Now that varies. Last year we had around 30 students in the class. The year before we had slightly less. We are hoping to have we are hoping to have similar numbers this year, or even more than 30. But the point is that it's usually, this number is a very optimal number when it comes to class dynamics, because it helps us to have a class discussion. I personally conduct my classes in a very interactive way. I usually base my classes on case studies. Most of our lectures do similar interactive classes, so we need a critical mass to have an interactive class, and in a full day session there will be enough time for everyone to participate in the class. So yeah, 30 to 35 probably is the optimal class size. Waiting for further questions. Okay, so I don't see any further questions. I will wait another couple of minutes here. So if you don't have any more questions, the presentation is over, but you are always welcome to contact me through email, and I'll be happy to answer your questions in a one-on-one session or through emails. So another question: is it required a mathematical background? Which level of coding math is expected? Not having problems with the course. Now, this is a marketing focused course. Some level of mathematical preparedness is a plus. Now, what we need is usually in some of the more quantitative modules that you need to have some mathematical, but we generally usually try to provide the foundation. So a mathematical understanding would be enough for this module, but not very advanced coding or mathematical skill is required for this. And we essentially base our quantitative modules on a more applied version of quantitative techniques. So you wouldn't be delving into the mathematical backgrounds of statistics and so on. Okay, so if there isn't any further question, I'll be ending this session. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending and listening to this presentation on the taster session. And I will hope to see you next year in our 21 cohort. Thank you so much and have a good day wherever in the world you are.